Hey folks, so I haven't been out for the last 4 days. I just haven't felt like it. The weather hasn't been all that wonderful, well, temperature-wise. But I still have stuff to talk about. Mostly the weather, holy cow. So, on Tuesday, after my update, I showed my tour. That was my Before the Storms tour. And the whole line of storms that was just kind of running through it, gradually moving towards us, the whole line. And it hit north of us. It was pretty intense weather, I guess you could say. So it kind of given an indication of, what we were going to expect.
This is from King City. There's a little bit of rotation showing up from King City. And if I go to Brit, okay, a little bit there. And is that tilt number 2? Yeah, so let's go back to tilt number 1. And let's see. Yeah, there's this little pocket right here of some pretty high values. I'm hoping this is noise because those are 122 kilometers an hour. Those are some pretty strong values at the bottom side of that storm. And actually, let's use the swipe over tool to see. It's interesting, the location of it. A little bit on the backside. If it was right here, I would be even more concerned with it. But it's right on the backside of that storm, so it might be noise. But look at that storm. That is a beast of a storm heading into Tobermory right now. Do they have a severe thunderstorm warning yet? I'm assuming they might. But let me see here. I'll just go double check. Why not? Give me just a moment. Let's see. No, still not a severe thunderstorm warning for Tobermory, but that is a beast of a storm heading in. Definitely some isolated flooding risk with it, possibly some damaging wind risk, because there is some really high winds in here. These don't look like noise, and they're hitting 114, 106, 110. So possibly some damaging wind risk with that particular storm as it tracks. So maybe we should send them a wind notification. I do want to take a look just to see if I can see any further. Oh my goodness. That is not good. Yeah, that's not noise. That is rotation on both tilts. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Okay. If you are in Tobermory, in that area, you're going to need to get to a safe place right now because it is intense. That just strengthened significantly right now. Let's go back to Polygon update. I already have a little box made for Tobermory because I was just assuming that this would happen at some point in time. I'm going to shrink it because it's only focused up here, but that is strong rotation right now. Whoa, that is intense. Let me see. Yeah, that's going to be going maybe just south of Tobermory. I'm going to include them in the path here, but because it's hard to say if the radar is perfectly positioned. I'm going to definitely send them a notification right now. That is strong. That is strong. I'm going to go with tornado potential on that one because that is super strong. Tornado potential detected. We detected tornado potential on the storm moving northeast into the Bruce Peninsula just south of Tobermory. Whoa. Okay, clickety. What time is it right now? 7:28. 7:28. There's the date. It all looks good. Direct. And I'm going to send that right now because that looks super, super intense. Okay, so that is being sent right now. 364 folks in that path. Yeah. Oh my goodness. That storm looks intense. That is intense rotation right there on that storm. Let's go take a look at some different radars. That's coming from the Brit radar. Let's see what it looks like from King City. Yeah, you can see the rotation from King City for sure, but you can really see it from the Brit radar. What's the V-rod on that? That is intense. So on one side, it's 137 kilometers. On the other side, it's 21. So you might 158. So it might be 158 V-rod, which is the rotation value on that. So that is an intense signal on that storm. Whoa. I'm hearing the team notifying me right now. 1 second here.
Difference is, it kind of stopped moving towards us. So the storms were just running straight up this line. There's a whole lot of them up this diagonal line, and this whole diagonal line was gradually coming towards us, and then it stopped. So all these storms were still going by. Missed us completely. Every time I looked at the weather app, it said, storms beginning at this time, or this time, or this time. It just kept moving forward because it wasn't coming towards us. So it just kind of stopped, which was kind of nice for us. But later that night, I think about 11:30, I think it was, power went off. Came back on for about 5 seconds, went off again. And it came on again for another second, then went off, and that was it. It stayed off. So I looked at the radar, and the storms were close enough now. They were kind of hitting the shore where the Bruce nuclear plant is. And a lot of times, if we have storms between here and there, if lightning hits one of the towers, it tends to knock our power out. Not that long, just enough to knock it off, and then I'll come back on a few seconds later. So there were storms in that area, so I figured, okay, well, that's probably what it was. So nothing else to do inside. I decided to go for a tour. I went out. The whole town was out, and it looked kind of neat. What surprised me was everything was out. From here to Timmy's. It looks really weird when it's completely dark. But the traffic lights at that intersection were still working. I've never seen that before. If Timmy's is off, those lights are usually off. That was really, really weird. So, that was kind of cool. Came to I started driving around different places, and then all of a sudden, power came back on. I'm like, no, I'm not ready for that yet. I wanted to just kind of continue up the other end of town to see how widespread it was. I never even thought of looking at the hydro outage map and see what it said. I never even thought about that. So I don't really know how wide it was. But I continued on. I got out of town and I stopped in a place. The whole western horizon from, I'd say, northwest or north to probably southwest was all just constant lightning. And I haven't looked yet, but I doubt you'll see anything on the camera because it wasn't super bright. There was the odd brighter flash, but it wasn't very bright at all. It was just enough to see. Like the whole horizon, everywhere. It was just constant lightning. So there were some pretty wicked storms that were still going through. They just weren't coming towards us. That was kind of interesting. So I continued on. I sat there for a bit. The bugs were driving me absolutely insane. I had to move. That's one of the reasons I'm glad I smoke, because smoking is a really good bug repellent. And yet, you hear a mosquito buzzing around, you just blow smoke at it, and it's gone. They leave. So that's one thing I like about it. But last year, there were so few bugs around, they weren't even an issue. They aren't even anything to be concerned about. This year, they're horrible. There's just clouds and clouds of them everywhere. So the last time I went out at night after the rain, remember I told you it was kind of like snow. The bugs were just constant coming at me. It just looked like snow in the camera. It wasn't a fluke apparently, because the same thing happened this night. It was just absolutely insane. And we hadn't had any rain yet, so, it wasn't an after rain, it was before rain. But I sat there and they just wouldn't leave me alone, so I had to continue on. Then I went and sat up at the highway, pointed the monster towards the horizon, watched the lightning a little bit more. And some of it was actually pretty cool. You can actually see the clouds. You can see the clouds light up from the lightning behind them. That was kind of wild. Because it was like open sky above me. There's like stars, all the stars were out. But you could see the edge of the storm system. And it was just, like I say, it was just rolling through, but it wasn't coming towards us. It was really, really weird. So for the rest of the night, I kept looking at the radar, and every time I looked at it, now like I said, the time's different when it was supposed to be here. The last one I looked at, I think 4:45 in the morning is when the storms are supposed to hit, and I'm thinking, oh, wonderful. I don't like night storms. And considering what went through earlier, like north of us, I watched a live stream about it. And it was pretty intense going through, especially the Tobermory area, and from there up to North Bay. I think that whole area was getting hit pretty good. So, it didn't look like it had changed much. So, it was still coming, and by the time it gets to us, we're looking at some pretty severe stuff. So, a little bit concerning. They'll be asleep by that time, likely. So, a little bit concerned. But I fell asleep. I never heard anything. I don't know if we got any storms or anything. Nothing major, obviously. I would have woke me up. But so I woke up about 11:30 the next morning. And shortly after I woke up, I started hearing thunder. So I looked, and the storm line of storms that was coming had broken up. So it wasn't a solid line anymore, but there was still, bits here and there of pretty wicked looking storms. So looking at it, now we got one big one coming at us, and it's kind of, the way it's coming, it doesn't look like it's going to hit us directly, the major part of it. So we got a fair amount of thunder, nothing close. It wasn't anything really for us. So we just got the northern tip of it. And boy, did we dodge a bullet.
One woman is dead, and parts of southern Ontario and Quebec remain under severe thunderstorm warnings after an emergency alert sounded on cell phones this afternoon. According to Peel Regional Police, the woman died after being struck by a large tree. She was taken to hospital where, tragically, she died. At Toronto's beaches, others ran for cover as lightning and heavy rain swept across the region. The fast-moving storm knocked out power to some homes and traffic lights. Drivers finding themselves on roads that were flooded. Just west of Mississauga, Environment Canada meteorologist Gerald Chang says they knew the storm would be a powerful one, saying the emergency alert system worked exactly as planned.
We saw winds of over 130, in fact, 131 kilometers per hour in Kitchener. So quickly, we had to escalate, and we had to make sure that those severe thunderstorm warnings would be disseminated through that system by changing an option on our interface. What really matters is that because we saw those high winds, we knew that there would be damage. And, the Twitter feed is lighting up with reports of damaged trees down. And so when we see strong winds like that, we know that we have a dangerous situation on hand.
Chang says the storm will keep tracking eastward, and he's encouraging people to share reports of damage with Environment Canada online. We'll keep a close eye on the situation there.
A major cleanup operation is underway across southern Ontario and Quebec. Severe thunderstorms rolled through yesterday, knocking out power for tens of thousands of people, and many won't have it restored for at least a few more days. Hydro officials say the damage to transmission lines is extensive, and it may take even longer to restore power in other hard-hit areas. The storms killed at least 7 people in Ontario and 1 person in Quebec. Homes and vehicles were damaged, and neighborhoods remain littered with downed trees and branches. CBC's Chris Ensing has more from Windsor.
They were crossed from Michigan into Ontario and just gained power as it ripped up through Ontario. By the time it hit Ottawa, we were dealing with a number of deaths. Police in Ottawa confirming today that a tree had fallen on a man at a golf course of the city's west end. In Peterborough, we're hearing about a woman who was killed after a tree fell on top of her during this storm. And what they were dealing with here were just winds that are really tough to put in perspective. 120 kilometers an hour reports in Ottawa, in Toronto for wind gusts during this storm, lasting about a half an hour in some places, a real burst of energy as far as what was packed into this. We're looking at trees that were powered or pushed over by this, those power lines that were pushed over by this. In Toronto, they were seeing hail that was the size of toonies. Mayor John Tory saying today that Toronto had about 1,500 calls to its forestry department dealing with the cleanup there. Power outages still exist for more than 100,000 customers in Ontario. That number at about 14,000 in Toronto right now. And when we look at what's happening as far as making things available for people, Ottawa says that it's set up a couple of shelters to make sure that people have access to a place where they can charge their phones, get those emergency devices ready to go as they look forward to what could be a long time before power is restored. The mayor also saying that they're going to have officials in those areas hardest hit.
We have crews out. Police have been going to affected areas to make sure there's no problems with vandalism or theft or so on. We also have the fire department going into those hard-hit areas, knocking on doors to make sure people are okay. If they need any help, for instance, if someone's oxygen system is reliant on electricity, obviously the paramedics will be there to help them.
You heard him talk about firefighters. The fire department in Ottawa confirming that they built a shelter to temporarily house animals that were trapped during this storm. The police saying a barn was destroyed in the area. And we also know that there's a state of emergency for the town of Uxbridge. They have about 20,000 people there. Earlier this morning, we heard the mayor on Facebook saying that there was the little power available in the community. And there's a team of researchers now looking to see if there was a potential tornado that touched down in Uxbridge, as well as southern parts of Ottawa.
We've reached Ottawa Mayor Jim Watson. Mayor Watson, thank you for coming back and joining us again this morning. As Chris was just talking about, there's a letter from Ottawa Hydro saying the level of damage to the system is simply beyond comprehension. Just give us a feel for what you're hearing and seeing out there.
Well, thank you, Hannah, for having me on. I certainly can see that letter does make sense. I've seen different parts of the city. Yesterday, I'm going back out on tour to visit parts in the East End, Navan and Sarsfield that were hard hit, along with Pine Glens. And the councillors in those areas are telling me this is as bad, if not worse, than what they remember from the tornado back in 2018. And then, of course, going back all the way to 1998. And the ice storm that devastated our city. I think we lost 6,000 trees just on public park properties alone. So it's very devastating. It's frustrating, obviously, for the public, excuse me, to see this kind of damage to their home, to their neighborhood, to their trees that they love. And at the same time, without electricity. So we've opened 10 respite centers and get information on ottawa.ca. That's the best place to go, as well as our Twitter handle to get the most up-to-date information. We have about 164,000 people still without power. That's down by about, I think, 10 to 20,000 that hydro workers are working around the clock to get hydro back, but it has to be done obviously safely. And we also prioritize helping those vulnerable residents, those people who are economically challenged, live in affordable housing, don't have the luxury of going out and getting all new groceries because obviously their groceries have gone to waste because of the lack of power. So we're doing what we can through organizations like the Red Cross, the City of Ottawa Human Resources Task Force, and the Salvation Army that are providing meals at these respite centers.
Okay, that's good to know. Yesterday, it was 2 of those centers, Mayor. Today, up to 10. So, again, go to the Ottawa website to find out exactly where those are. Over the weekend, how extensive was the cleanup?
Well, it's still going on. You know, our crews were out literally within an hour after the storm passed. A lot of our traffic lights are out. I said in our press conference, we asked for people's patience. There are a lot of yahoos that were out there going through the traffic lights, not caring about the others and not doing it in a courteous way. We don't want another accident to occur as a result of someone being an idiot or foolish and stretch our emergency resources even thinner. So we have, as you know, Hannah, living here, Ottawa is a large piece of geography. We can fit the cities of Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, Calgary, and Edmonton within our boundaries. We're 2,600 square kilometers, and almost every single part of the city was affected by this storm. The tornado, on the other hand, cut a swath of destruction in a set area. It didn't go all across the city. This one went basically all across the city in rural Ottawa, suburban Ottawa, downtown Ottawa. Still a lot of traffic lights. I'm seeing, you know, the visuals on your screen. These are big poles. We lost over, I think, 220 poles that just snapped, plus 4 major towers. And we have to rely on Hydro One to get those services back. They provide the electricity to all residents, and Hydro Ottawa gets it to your door. So it's really going to be a real challenge over the next couple of days. Hydro anticipates it's going to be to get everyone back online 3 to 4 days. But people are getting back online segment by segment, sector by sector, and we've seen areas in Canada, for instance, and parts of the south end of the city where electricity has been brought back on. So I ask for people's patience. I know that's easy to say. I didn't lose any power here in my home in the West End, but a lot of people are dealing with it. And of course, we have a holiday today, which means most of the stores, grocery stores, are not open. So, people have to get their food somewhere. Parents have contacted me saying, where do we go to get our son and daughter's lunches tomorrow? School's back on. So these are things that are, it couldn't have come at a worse time in a statutory holiday when a lot of people are away. And we've had to call a lot of our really dedicated employees from Hydro, Public Works, Police, Fire, Paramedic, Bylaw, OC Transpo. It's all hands on deck because we want to do whatever we can to minimize any further injury or death. Sadly, as you know, one gentleman lost his life in the West End, and a number of people have been seriously injured in the city of Ottawa.
Yeah, and our sympathies go out to their loved ones for sure when it comes to that.
Good evening, everyone. The misery and anxiety confronting people in parts of Ontario and Quebec from a vicious weekend storm is nowhere near over. Some with barely any food and powerless. New video emerging today shows the punishing force of nature barreling through and leaving a path of destruction. The death toll has climbed to at least 10, most victims killed by falling trees. In Quebec, at least 200,000 are still in the dark, nearly 179,000 in Ontario. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver starts us off tonight in Ottawa.
The intense storm was short-lived, but the trail of destruction left behind won't be an easy or quick fix, especially for those without power.
Chaos. Yeah, it's been hard.
More than 48 hours after the storm struck, knocking down transformers and hydro towers, hundreds of thousands in Ontario and Quebec are still in the dark. Fabrice Kasongo couldn't find charcoal or propane.
Put the sticks there, like a lot of sticks, and then you light up.
So he's using sticks to power the barbecue, keeping his family and friends fed.
We don't know what will happen tomorrow because the power is not yet back. The life cost is now high, the gas is high. On top of that, the little food people have in the fridge is gonna be spoiled.
The cleanup from this storm could take weeks, and it's all because of scenes like this. A roof and 3 air conditioning units completely destroyed and blocking this city's street, and a transformer and a hydro pole completely snapped and no longer functional. The severe damage leading to a state of emergency in Uxbridge near Toronto.
This hole was not here before.
At least 35 properties, including Ashley Woodham's, may have to be torn down.
The walls are all cracked. We have no windows left. The floors are shaky. We're just trying to get everything that's valuable to us and sentimental out.
For some in Quebec, where crews are dealing with 1,400 outages, generators may have to power their lives for the next 2 weeks. But gas in some areas is now in short supply.
We came yesterday morning, so I can have two tanks of gas, but when we come back yesterday in evening, there's no more gas.
The city of Ottawa says the electrical grid has never been hit this hard, and its ability to distribute power has been crushed. Now crews with special equipment, Omar, are coming from Kingston, the Greater Toronto Area, and New Brunswick to help.
Massive effort. All right, Annie, thank you.
It's awful, but everybody's safe. The pets are safe, but you can't imagine. I've never thought I was going to go through this in my life.
An Nepean woman's heartbreak after a tree tears through her home from above, one of hundreds of Ottawa area homes that suffered severe damage in yesterday's wicked storms. And it was because of this so many are picking up the pieces today. This is what the storm looked like moving into our region yesterday afternoon. Good evening. Stefan is away tonight. We begin with the aftermath of yesterday's incredible storm, which tore through the capital region and much of Ontario, causing widespread damage and power outages. At last count, 170,000 people still without power, over 200 poles down and needing to be replaced. And this storm was deadly, causing at least 7 deaths across Ontario and Quebec, including 3 here in our region.
All debris. Yeah, in the front of here, you couldn't get in that door.
This is the McWilliams farm in Navan 2 summers ago. Saturday, it was completely destroyed.
78. And been fixing and repairing and building ever since. And it was all gone in 20 minutes.
Powerful winds over 120 kilometers an hour shredding this farm, along with several others nearby. But even as the barn collapsed around them, these incredible moments.
I think it's okay.
The animals miraculously okay.
Yeah, I came around the barn and the mare and brand new foal were unharmed, and I crawled in under just to see if anything else was there, and the goat was totally fine too, just stuck.
In town, trees toppled over homes, across driveways, and downing power lines.
So we'll have to get a special crew to work on it, professional guys, so we'll give them a call on maybe tomorrow or Tuesday. They're already working anyway, so.
The storm even shattering the steeple of this church in nearby Sarsfield.
It was pretty shocking. It's a disaster. Like, the complete street is just a mess. The houses, it's very, very sad to see this. That's what happened. It's a shock.
And while the cleanup at houses like these is just beginning, farmers say it will be months before they're able to get back to working normally.
Got a whole bunch of hay to make, and this in the next month or so, and I don't know where we're going to put it all when we get it made.
Colton Prail, CTV News.
The storm cut a wide swath across the province. A very strong line of thunderstorms developed near Sarnia late yesterday morning and tracked northeastward over southern Ontario towards Ottawa in the afternoon, hitting the capital at about 4 p.m. Damaging wind gusts were reported at the Ottawa International Airport of 120 kilometers an hour.
It was insane. It was just insane. I had no idea it was that bad. But like I say, we just got the northern tip of it. I don't even think we got any wind. It was just rain, thunder. That was it. I did get a notice for it. It was a little bit concerning. The toonie size hail, which for those not in Canada, the toonie is our $2 coin. It's about the size of a golf ball. So it was pretty big hail. And of course there was a tornado watch with it. So. But it went through it. It hit everybody but us. Well, everybody to the south of us. And apparently it intensified as it went on. And I got up to the Ottawa, Quebec area and attacked them again. So I don't know what it is. I'm glad I don't live in Canada's capital because it keeps getting attacked by the weather. The last couple of years, they just keep getting it. So it's insane. I wonder if that's why my niece left there. She was living there. She moved back to Kitchener area, I think it was. So that's just nuts. So the temperature yesterday, we had a frost warning, not last night, but the night before. That would be Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday night we had a frost warning. The temperature dropped down pretty low. It dropped down again last night too, but we didn't get a warning with that. So maybe it was cloudy last night. I don't know. But I just didn't feel like going out. So Saturday. Oh, I guess it was only 3 days. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. 3 days. I didn't go out. I had lots of stuff to do on my computer anyways. I realized that I'm running out of scheduled videos. Like I had a video that was due this week. It's like, oh crap, I don't have one for that. So I just kind of binge created a bunch of them, upload them to YouTube, so I'm good now. I still got to finish off June. So when I get to 1 month, then I make sure I have videos for the next month. Obviously the update videos and my project videos I can't do ahead of time, but all the other ones I can. So I'm into June now. I want to finish off June completely, and then once I get to June, I'll do July's videos. That way, I'm always ahead, and I don't have to worry about making a mad rush to get something out in time. I really hate doing that. So I got notice from Google that my payment was sent from YouTube. And of course, the bank being the bank, it's all electronic. I don't know why it's not instant, but the bank always waits. So I never got it until sometime this morning. Because all day yesterday and the day before, I kept looking at it, not there yet, not here yet, not here yet. So even before I went to bed early this morning, I looked at it, still not there. I woke up, oh, there it is. So my bearings have been ordered now. I should have them by the end of the month. May 31st was the suggested, was the anticipated delivery date. So we'll see what happens with that. I can't really do, well, I can. I mean, it doesn't really matter if I mess these bearings up now. If I take those washers out. I just don't want to do the job twice, because once I get the bearings, I have to take them apart again to do everything. So, I figured if I take the washers out now and put smaller washers in, and that will kind of fix my stiff steering problem, but probably damage the bearings at the same time. I just won't be able to crank the nut down very tight. Because I'm pushing on the center of the bearing, and there's nothing in between them to hold back that force, so it'd be an issue. So, I don't know. I might not. I don't know. The 31st is only the 24th now, so 7 days, a week. Well, I can probably hold back another week. Too much of an issue. But I remember now, at the end of my last update, there was those two things that I forgot to talk about. One, the swollen river, and the second one, I just couldn't remember what it was. I remember now. I never remembered until I started making that video, actually, since I saw myself pulling into my off-road area up at the river. That's what I was going to talk about. I was going to explain why I started a new path. I kept forgetting. I forgot several times. So the reason I did that is because sometimes when I pull in there will be a car parked down that laneway, somebody walking their dog by the river, or someone fishing or something. And other times somebody will back a trailer down there with a bunch of canoes on it. So I won't be able to get to that little pathway. So I started another one from the entrance, just in case, there's a time I can't get down that laneway. Then I've got an alternate way in. That's why I started that path. Yeah, I kept forgetting to talk about that. So finally got that out. So, I've already gone for my tour today. What did I do? I went to Timmy's. I wasn't sure exactly how far I was going to be able to go. I'll get to that. So I wanted to avoid that big hill, so I just kind of took an alternate route. And I didn't go all the way up to the top. So I went through the squiggly trail. And then back over, stopped down. Oh, excuse me. Stopped down at the dam. The lily pads are coming out now. On the mud flat riverbank part where I parked there, they've been coming up. I've been seeing them, but they're not underwater at this moment, so they're really not doing anything. So where the water actually is, they've reached the surface of the water now, and they're making their presence known. So the water level's still at the same place, so I'm assuming they've just partially closed the dam. So that makes me wonder if they're going to be demolishing it this year, avoiding filling up the area above it. And it makes me wonder. So from there, I went for a tour. I'm just trying to picture my trip. Anything happened along the way? Not that I can think of. So I had to get milk today, so I wanted to do milk and cream for the coffee, so I wanted to do that last. So I come down the highway, and I saw the heron fly over. I'm assuming it's low enough for the camera to see it. Do that if I can. So, I haven't seen it in flight for a while. That was kind of cool. So I stopped at William Mart, come through town. Reg wasn't sitting out. It was like almost 4:30, so he'd probably already gone back in. And then I went and got my milk. I came home from there. I don't think anything really happened the whole time. I just enjoyed. It was pretty nice until I got out on the highway, and it just seemed like the temperature just, as soon as I got to the highway, the temperature just dropped. It was really weird. Because I probably could have got away with shorts today. It was, I don't remember if it was 17 or 19 when I left. Take a look at that. Turned my data on. I'm pretty sure it was below 20. That's why I put my sweater on. I was comfortable. I wasn't too warm. I was actually pretty comfortable. But I probably could have got away with shorts. That's 20 now. Look at screen capture of that. I want to read the story at the bottom. Okay. Ooh, two of them. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Derecho? Why this derecho event was different from other storms in Canada.
40% of Canada's population was being impacted by very powerful storms that raced on through this past Saturday. They were destructive and they were also deadly. Now, they made its way into the Ontario region through the morning hours of Saturday, tracked into the Greater Toronto region midday, moved through Ottawa and Quebec as well. While severe thunderstorm watches and warnings were issued, this is actually being classified as a derecho. It's a very rare weather event, and it's essentially a long-lived windstorm, but you do need a damaged swath of at least 650 kilometers in length. Now, why was this a bit different? We had that humidity that helps fuel the storms, and while often they can peter out, the jet stream continued to intensify these and move it along across multiple provinces. And the winds, they were hurricane force winds. Kitchener got up to 131 kilometers an hour, Pearson 121. Now this derecho, by the numbers, laying it out here, power outages at the peak over 1 million. The derecho moved at 90 kilometers an hour, lasted 8+ hours, and had a long damage path.
Tornado confirmed in Ontario after destructive long weekend storm. Town of emergency declared in Ontario town due to possible tornado. I'm thinking that may have been Uxbridge.
We got the alert that came through approximately 1:05, and then the next thing you knew, black skies, and it was just a whirlwind.
I have never seen anything like it. Like 10 minutes later, it was over. It was, yeah, it was...
You're okay?
I'm okay, yeah.
Tragically, the long weekend was interrupted by a destructive derecho, a long-lived windstorm that swept across southern Ontario and Quebec. The town of Uxbridge, about an hour northeast of Toronto, declared a state of emergency on Saturday as a result of the damage left by storm winds that reached over 130 kilometers an hour in some parts of the province. Many roads are closed throughout the township, and public works and emergency services are continuing to remove trees and ensuring hazards from downed power lines are managed.
I was in my son's room looking out the window and I saw it come in. I shouldn't have been there, but I was. Those trees just started going every which way. And then I actually saw a flash at the end of our driveway. Didn't know it at the time because I couldn't see it, but it was actually the high voltage power lines coming down.
This is a historic part of town. All the mature trees knocked over, and we had a few of those trees fall on the garage in my house.
The potential is that this was a tornado. The Northern Tornadoes Project is going to come in and say for sure, but either way, the damage here in Uxbridge is significant, and unfortunately, it's really going to disrupt a lot of lives here in the town.
I'm very fortunate, very fortunate. I've lost some of the deck, I've got fence, and I've lost 3 windows. But if that's the worst, other people have lost their homes.
Schools closed, local state of emergency declared after deadly weekend storms. Wow. Yeah, that was quite an event. That was one storm. It got so bad so quick. It was amazing. So I don't think I had anything else to talk about. I cut the grass out of here before I went in last time, and it needs to be done again already. It's only been 3 days. I gotta do the front yet. It's crazy out there. It looks like a friggin' jungle. I couldn't believe how fast it grew. I think I already said, I had clumps of weeds here and there, and then we got that rain, and then all of a sudden, poof! It just, like my face, it just suddenly grew in. It needs to be trimmed. So one more thing I want to talk about, but I gotta switch cameras for that. So I decided to use the Monster charger on Friday when I got back from the storm. And I showed you that. I had the block of wood on it. Everything was working. I come out today, and you can see, hopefully you can see that, it's red. It kind of looks orange in the camera, but it's actually red. It's in error mode. I come out, and it was in error mode. My concern was, did it turn red right after I went in, or did it turn red just before I come out today? So I don't know if the Monster's fully charged or not. That was my concern. That's why I wanted to avoid the big hills today, because until the battery meter actually caught up to where it would be if it wasn't fully charged, I didn't know what to expect. So that was an issue. I unplugged it. It stayed red just like it is now. And I went out for my tour today. I got back and it was flashing green, so it was back to normal, and now it's in error mode again. So that tells me this has nothing to do with the Monster, because it's not even plugged into the Monster. And it was flashing green, which meant it was normal, and then it went into error mode all on its own. So that tells me that's an issue. So I'm gonna go back to my ES950 charger again. Now this one kind of baffles me. Ow, 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 ow. Kneeling on concrete, not a good idea. So this kind of baffles me a bit. I know the tire is worn, so it looks worse than it is, but it is actually on an angle. The spindle itself is fine. There's no movement in it. This one's perfect. This one's straight up and down. So this one's fixed. This is the old one that I had to fix up, I guess you could say. But I reused it. This one is the new one, and it's kind of funky, because remember I pointed out before how close the fender brace is to this, and the tire actually rubs on it, and this one's farther away. But if you look at it, it's almost angled inward a little bit, whereas this one's actually angled in a little more. I don't know if you can tell the difference. It is actually on more of an angle. So like I say, this is new. This is brand new, and it's on an angle again, or still. So this tire, since this wheel, since I put it on, has not been perfectly vertical. So I'm wondering if somehow they welded the axle onto this on an angle. That's the only thing I can think of. Because the whole wheel is on an angle. And it's hard to tell with this one because the speedometer pickup, but it's like perfectly horizontal. Whereas this one, it's up. You can kind of see it's pointing upwards a bit on the outside. So I don't know what to think of that, guys. I don't understand what's happening there. If somebody pointed out to me that the bottom one here, it does stick out a little farther than the top one, but this one seems to be sticking out further. So I don't know what to think. I am quite confused by that. But like I say, with this fender bracket rubbing against the tire, it kind of makes me think the axle isn't perfectly horizontal. So I might not even be able to fix that. The only thing I can do is fix up the old spindle, clean it up, and reuse it. That's the only thing I can think of to solve that problem. Because like I say, I fixed this one up and it's perfect. So, I don't know. I may take a look at that when I get the bearings, and I don't know what to say. I don't even know where I put it. Oh, there it is. There it is. I got a raceway on there I have to cut off, but you know, I might have to fix this one up. As this one sticks out. Even this one almost looks like it's pointing upwards a little bit. Not perfectly 90 degrees. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I just don't know. The joys of owning the monster. I'm gonna try something here. It's still in error, so I'm gonna unplug it. Plug it back in. Let's see, it's flashing green, which is what it normally does when it's idle, like this. And this is what it was doing when I come back from my tour. It was red when I left. It was flashing green when I got back, like just before I started recording this video. Well, my update talk. And then when I came over here to talk about the charger, it was back in error mode again. I don't know what to think. It seems okay at the moment. So I can't trust this one anymore. It makes none of any sense to me. I guess while I'm here. Okay, seems like it's not gonna do it now. So what I'm gonna do, I think I'll just set it down here for the moment. I'm going to try my new charger one more time. Make sure it's plugged in all the way. And take its exceptionally long cord. Get over there. Without taking everything off with it. Get out of the loop. There we go. And I'm going to plug it in, see what happens. Okay, got power. Immediately goes into error. So that's still not going to work for me. So I'm stuck using just the ES950 charger. I don't have an option. It's the only one that's working properly. So I don't know, guys. I'm just tired of all the problems. And like I said before, these are all rated 5 amp. They're all the same. They're all the same. As the charger that came with the monster has worked all these years. I'm not going to be able to read that without my glasses. On these big batteries, they've always worked. So it's not the battery size that's causing the problem with the monster charger, because they've always worked on these batteries. I am going to take a quick look here. Actually, I gotta take these glasses off. Other hand. Just turn the power off. So if I get a phone call, I'll actually hear it. Plus, I can't hold my glasses on and do everything else with only one hand, so. Okay. Let's see what it says on here. Oh my god, guys, I was wrong. It is 8 amp. I remember this is 5. I was wrong. That's what I'm looking for. 26 to 75 amp hour. So the original batteries that came with the Monster were 79, I believe. And this one, (17 to 50 amp hour. So that might be the issue with this. So now I need to check. And that's 5 amp. This one doesn't specify. This one doesn't have an amp hour rating on it. This one's only 4 amp. Holy cow, where am I getting my information from? It's only 4 amp. Yeah, this one doesn't specify. Does not specify amp hour rating. So a Monster charger is 8 amp. I did not realize that. I was sure it was only 5. So the S950 charger, only being 4 amps, is the only one that's actually working. So I am going to give my dealer a shout and ask his opinion of it. I might have to go with a higher amp charger, but like I say, 4 amp, it works. So I don't know. I don't know, guys. So I guess that's all I got for today. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to show any of my tour today. I might have to do a separate video like I did last time and put it up tomorrow after my fire department video, I guess. So that's all I got. That's it. That's all. There ain't no more. I want to get something going here. I gotta get those bearings, but you know, like I say, I gotta wait another week to get that. Hopefully it'll come soon. Amazon's usually pretty good with that. The stuff actually getting here before the date that it specifies. So we'll see what happens. I guess that's all I got.